It's important to know your shopper, especially this time of year, back to school, and that's why I'm so glad to have our next guest. You have seen her on the show many times. We're glad to have her in the studio. It's Miss Jessica Hendrix, CEO of Saatchi and Saatchi X. Great to see you again, Jessica.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
This time of year, back to school, when I think of the back to school shopper, I think of two people. I think of me in grade school with all the anxiety when I see the back to school signs in stores, and then I think of my mom with all that relief on her face. Now, in your business, how do you see the back to school shopper and how suppliers can prepare?
Well, very similar to your experience. So what we know about the shopper is that this is kind of a time of year where she is really struggling with, I've got to get my kids ready, and yet I'm really excited about the fact that I'm going to be able to have a little bit more time to work on maybe some house projects and or really, take a little bit more time for myself. But what's most important is getting her child ready for school. What we see is this huge opportunity for retailers and suppliers as they help their retailer partners to really think about how mom is thinking about shopping, and dad for that matter, which is really about, she's looking at it as, I want to be efficient in my shopping experience. And that might connect me to grocery pickup, it might connect me to .com purchases, but she's also thinking about experience. And experience might look like a couple of things. It might look like you've created this great way for me when I come into the store to know exactly what I need to purchase for my child's school and my child's grade. It might also look like experience as, I want to start to experience what I'm going to do for my home, for myself, once I get my kids back off to school. And so as we think about shopping, it's really through, how can I be efficient for my shopper? And then how can I use that time that she earns back in the day by being efficient to create these really great experiences for her that allow her to either do something again for herself or for her home.
And that extra time that she has back during the day, that kind of feeds into the next question, because we talk about suppliers that may not necessarily be back to school suppliers or think about that, but you have this whole extra time that is now on her hands that they can be part of. How does that supplier that doesn't normally think about being part of the back to school program utilize that opportunity?
Well, I think you're probably going to have to be very cognizant of the in-store space, and I would even say the online experience and the .com shelf, and really think about what are those communication items that I can use, whether that's an in-store display or again something online, that's going to trigger her to either come back when she's gotten those kind of back to school items off of her list, or that she's going to be willing to connect and engage in quickly in store. So I think you've got to accept that you may not be able to get the massive display or the massive communication space online that you've expected, but you can still make some connections and you can still have some really, really unique emotional connection talking points to mom, and really to anyone who's kind of in that different modality, either in-store or online.
And then Saatchi and Saatchi X recently participated with Quaker in a great program kind of revolved around back to school. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yep. It's actually a couple of years ago, but I think the insight remains the same, which is as mom prepares and she gets ready to go back to school, she's really thinking about, how are my kids going to be most successful? Well, I have a 5 and a 7-year-old, and two fun periods in my house are around 10 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon when my kids get really hungry. So what we did is we tapped into that mom insight, that shopper insight, and said, we're going to actually talk to her about this occasion and provide her with some healthy snack options that are going to allow her to feel like she's meeting her child's unmet need, because she knows if that need isn't met, that they're going to either not do well in their classroom, or they're not going to have a great recess, or quite frankly it might impact their whole rest of their day. So we actually created an entire program that was about, hey, here's how you can help your child snack healthy at this time. And then we also combined it with a back-to-school learning and reading program within the community.
We appreciate your time, Jessica. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.